Rather than incur the wrath of the dominant male, these younger males will disguise themselves as females, becoming legitimate members of the family. The fact that Anthias go to such extremes gives us an insight into just how important a defensive strategy shoaling is for many species. Reaching Yambu, halfway down the Red Sea, we join a diving operation called Yambu Divers, who assist us in reaching some of Saudi Arabia's best recreational diving sites. Based out of Yambu's Holiday Inn, this is perhaps the best way for divers to experience Saudi's northern reefs. At Yambu, the reef characteristic is that of an offshore barrier reef. And although a second inshore reef is also present, the best barrier reef is well offshore, up to an hour and a half by fast speedboat. Normally, barrier reefs are connected to each other to form one huge solid reef stretching for miles. But this barrier reef is broken into a chain stretching over 100 kilometers. Entering the crystal clear waters, we find a cornucopia of life. At the edge, the reef drops off to depths of between 15 and 40 meters and appears to be a living wall. Some fish thrive in the surge zone as waves carry them across the top of the reef. The underwater topography along these reefs is simply stunning. At this dive site, we are able to explore narrow canyons that burrow into the steep reef wall. At depth, we find branching corals and gorgonians under the overhanging reef. These reefs are subjected to more currents than further north, under the influence of the southern Red Sea water dynamics. Soft corals seem to thrive here. Our next dive is on one of numerous shipwrecks that dot the coastline of the Red Sea. This artificial reef is literally being transformed into a living reef, consumed by coral growth. Eventually, parts of this wreck will be completely buried under the coral reef. Although the Red Sea harbors a huge diversity of life, it is still extremely vulnerable. Because the Red Sea is enclosed, any pollutants that do get into it will stay there. There are virtually no tides or currents to flush them out, nor rivers to dilute them. Vast clouds of sediment can be seen billowing along parts of the fringing reefs, all along the whole coastline. These clouds are caused by winds scouring the expansive deserts which enclose the sea. The sand, swept up by these winds, spills over the edge of the reef, smothering the corals. Construction along the shore loosens the sand, and as regional development increases, more and more sediment enters the water layers, impacting vast areas of reef. The governments of Saudi Arabia and other coastal countries are already beginning to worry about the potential dangers involved in industrial development along the shoreline and in increased shipping. But the kingdom has also started to consider the great potential in diving tourism, and Saudi's virgin reefs will certainly appeal to a large percentage of the world's 12 million divers. To ensure the survival of an ecosystem as fragile as the Red Seas, the countries around it will have to do still more, particularly as development proceeds. They must, for example, prevent overfishing, continue to protect spawning grounds, and restrict spearfishing. They must control waste and sewage disposal, establish marine laboratories, and protect vulnerable species such as the dugong, the manta ray, the whale shark, and all the turtles. Finally, they must, in the remote and as yet untouched areas, establish large marine parks, equivalent to biosphere reserves, where large groups of species and marine biotopes function as an ecosystem that really is unique to the Red Sea. In part 2 of Coral Seas, we look at the cycle of life on a reef, and later explore some of the resilient corals of Oman, whose coral reefs couldn't be more different than those found in the Red Sea. Fringing reefs have a distinctive edge, and a drop-off about 100 meters out from the shoreline. Towards the shore, a shallow lagoon often forms, its bottom comprised of sand, dead coral and rock, and where water temperatures are warmer than along the reef edge. As the sun moves across the horizon and the tide drops, brittle stars move to position themselves in the shallow waters of the receding sea. Once in place, they start to wave their spiny arms in an almost mechanical manner, attempting to trap plankton and organic matter in the moving water. Above the surface, birds are attracted to the revealed bounty found in tidal pools. A grey night heron hunts for trapped fish, caught out by the receding tides, and fish like these gobies need to be extremely vigilant. The resulting tidal pools harbour an almost uncountable diversity of invertebrates. A tiny nudibranch grazes for algae. The term nudibranch is given to this flamboyant-looking mollusk. These frilly projections are in fact its exposed gills, and the literal translation of the word nudibranch means naked lungs. Hermit crabs parade their latest cone-shell homes on their back. Gastropods also rasp algae from reef surfaces, competing with fish and other organisms for a share of the algal pie.